African People's Socialist Party. We are an international organization fighting for the economic, political, and democratic rights of African people everywhere that we are throughout the world. Our organization was founded in 1972 with the goal to complete the revolution of the 1960s, and understanding that that revolution was crushed, militarily crushed, through the counterinsurgency. And that was a time when revolution was the main trend in the world. So as we look at Cuba, as we look at Vietnam, as we look at other anti-colonial struggles around the world, these were not struggles against racism. These were not struggles to make our oppressors like us. These were not struggles fighting for $15 an hour of wage. These were struggles for power, real political and economic power. And I want to appreciate just all of the statements that have come before me, our speakers. I want to also appreciate the statements by Comrade Jamal, or Ajamu, I think I got your name.
Oh, Jamu, yes.
Jamu, because it's really important as we're talking about, as I had mentioned earlier, in the organization, the African People's Socialist Party, we believe, again, that the highest form of democracy for the oppressed is self-determination. And that's really important because if we are understanding, why Cuba is such a threat, is because Cuba is a self-determining nation. They have determined that since Cuba has fought back against this counterinsurgency. And so I want to, really unite with the statements around the question of democracy, because again, as has already been stated, and this is part of what I hope to talk about, so I appreciate you for opening that door, Comrade, the question of an anti-colonial democracy, right? One that is in the hands of the oppressed. And especially as we come out of this question of Workers' Day, international workers, and the goal for colonized and oppressed peoples to take power back in our own hands. As African people, we understand that the workers are the producers and the reproducers of life for the colonizer nation, for the oppressed, for the ruling class. And so as we look at this question of what Cuba is dealing with, is that we're looking at a struggle between oppressor and oppressed nations. And this helps us to create a dialectic and helps us to understand which nation do we stand for? Do we stand for the oppressed nations, or do we stand for the oppressor nations? We have to have this ability to have a dialectic in this struggle. Otherwise, we can sit on this fence of neutrality and say that, yes, it's wrong what's happening, but we either stand for it or we fight against it. There is no in between. So I just really want to say that this question of Cuba and liberation is not, it's a serious question of our time, and us as African people, Cuba is very important to us. One thing I want to just unite with, and coming out of our international plenary, we made the call that it's not just Trump, it's the whole damn system. It's not just Trump, it's the whole damn system. Because as was stated earlier, as what we are experiencing right now is what colonized people have been experiencing for over 600 years, right? This idea that fascism, it's an anomaly, right? This is when the struggle that has been on the boots of oppressed peoples for centuries is now entering into different sectors, different sectors of the class as it represents itself. But colonialism is constant. And so if we want to fight racism, if we want to fight what's happening to Cuba, because even Cuba would unite with that, when we remove the blockade, when we end the travel bans and sanctions, when we remove Cuba off the state sponsors of terrorist list, the system of colonialism, the global economic political system still exists. And Cuba could not sit with that. Cuba would still continue to fight against that. And so we liberate Cuba as a strategy in overturning the colonial mode of production, which is colonialism, which has placed a verdict on the lives of colonized and oppressed peoples around the world. And so I just think that this, I just really want to appreciate everybody for being here. As I said, the African People's Socialist Party is a proud member of the U.S. Hands-Off Cuba Committee. We unite with the demands and the goal to liberate Cuba, and in the process educate the masses. And for us, we have a two-what end. That our end goal is to overturn the colonial mode of production, because we understand that if you liberate Africa and you free up the productive forces, then you liberate the world. And so that is what we stand upon, and we unite and we ask you to follow us. Ask questions. We have a table in the back there, and we understand that the struggle for African people is one that we want to win you to also come under the leadership of the working class, the African working class who was leading their own struggle. And so we salute Cuba and we salute the anti-colonial struggle. So, Uhuru, comrades.